Hi, my name's Kat from Greentown St Helens, and as part of the Solitary Bee project, I'm going to be talking to 8 people in the local area that are doing fantastic things for the environment, and we'll be giving you some tips on how to boost biodiversity. So hiya Claire, welcome to our video podcast in relation to the Solitary Bee project, which you've been a part of. How have you enjoyed it so far, the bee project?
I've absolutely loved it, to be honest with you. It's been so exciting. I've learned so much about bees that I didn't have a clue about. So I just thought a bee was a bumblebee and that was it.
Yeah.
And bees had hives and that was it. I didn't even know about solitary bees. I just thought there was like some sort of stripy flies that had started existing, and now I'm like, no, you need to do this for the bees and you need to do that for the bees and you can't do that, that's not good for the bees. Mm-hmm. So I've learnt so much. Even the kids, they're all talking about it. Even Kev, who's still on the Pollinator Park side of it on the VR, I've heard him playing his games, talking to all his mates when he's playing his shooting games, and he's been telling them all about saving the bees in Pollinator Park, and it's been really good to hear that side of it as well. It's been a really nice project.
Fantastic. Well, one of the first things I wanted to talk to you about, Claire, is the fact that I was really inspired by you during the lockdown period. The fact that you turned to sustainability, to the environment to get through. Can you tell me about that a little bit?
Basically, we got baby chickens on the first day of lockdown. And it's something that I'd always thought about probably for about 10, 15 years as I got my own home and I had that space in the garden. I'd always wanted chickens and like to have my own eggs and things like that. And I got them as little tiny baby chicks in lockdown, and that kept me sane. But that then took me outside. So once they got old enough to go outside, I was spending more time outside, and it just really drew me out to the garden and to just be able to appreciate what I had just in the back garden. And I haven't got the most amazing, beautiful, well-kept garden. I'll hold my hands up, I've not got that, but there's a nice space for the chickens, and it's just been like fantastic for my mental health and well-being to get out, spend that time outside. And I've 3 chickens to talk to, they don't answer back either, so it's nice to have that kind of space to go out and just see how they are and have a chat with the chickens. So
staying on the topic of your garden, I always love the amount of birds that you have in your garden. Can you tell people about that and how they can attract birds to their gardens?
I'm going to be honest now. I'm going to say I think people do too much gardening sometimes, because I literally don't do any gardening. I will cut it back when it needs cutting back, when it gets a bit over the top. But I think generally leaving the garden to do what it's supposed to do encourages the birds, because I'm not in there messing around with their environment all the time. So if they're kind of seeing humans coming around they're not going to build a nest there, because they can see this humans interacting there. So it's kind of it's quite wild and free, but there's loads of different bushes and plants and ivy and different things that attract the bees as well as the birds and things like that. So, and the bird feeders, they have little suet balls, and the robins, like, I'm doing this on my hand because I'm like imagining the bird flying to my hand.
Imagining the robin. You are the bird whisperer, Claire.
I think when they were kind of nesting and the little tiny chicks came and they were looking for food, and I was there and I was holding the food in my hand and they were coming flying over and taking it off. They liked the little suets things, but having different things for them, because all the different birds eat different things. So some of them will eat the suet, some of them will eat seeds, and it's just having that variety of things. And the plants as well, because they like the bugs off the plants, or the seed, or the little berries and the seeds off the plants. That's what they go for.
So what would be your top tip on boosting biodiversity? Anyone in the garden or the local area? or what can people do or not do?
Be a lazy gardener like me. So leave everything to it. So I've got nettles and all sorts in there, but that's for a reason, because when the chickens are out, because they're currently in lockdown, but when they're allowed out, they absolutely love eating the nettles, and then the berries come on, and then they love the berries. So if I take all that away, which normally people would do at the garden, then I'm taking food away from my animals that are living in that garden. So I'm quite a lazy gardener. So my way is just kind of leave it to its own thing, and kind of, you can tidy it up every now and then. Don't kind of have to be walking into things as you're getting through, but just kind of leave it to it and let it be wild as nature intended.
I think every single person I've spoke to has said the same thing. So I think lazy gardening is the way forward, isn't it? It definitely is for me in my garden anyway.
Yeah, but next door's garden's really well kept, and there's all the flowers and things like that as well. So he kind of does that side of it too. So we get the attraction for the bees from his flowers as well, which keeps it nice. And I've got his neatness to look at, and then my messiness for all the to encourage all the birds and the animals as well. So it's nice.
And is there anything that you've got going on at the moment? Any projects that you want to highlight or tell people about?
Nothing specifically around the environment and things like that, but I'm doing a lot about mental health and well-being. So we've got our ladies lounge, and we do meditation groups, and we've got the virtual reality. So we did the bee project with virtual reality, and we did Pollinator Park, and we've actually got the virtual reality for resilience and mental health that people can sign up to. And one of the people who attended the Pollinator Park, the bee project, the Salted Bee project, actually signed up, and they're starting to see a benefit in their mental health as well. So the project's
brilliant.
It's really good, because it's nice to see that difference in that person when they just came. They came to learn about the environment, and they ended up getting help with their mental health as well. So it's nice to have these connections, because everything connects together.
You've touched on Pollinator Park a few times, and that being part of the Solitary Bee project. How would you explain Pollinator Park? What is Pollinator Park?
It's basically a virtual Eden. So if you can imagine Eden, so there's a big glass dome with all the plants and the flowers growing inside to try and protect them, and you're walking around and you can pollinate the flowers. So you get a pollinating wand, and you take pollen from one tree and put it onto another tree, but you're actually physically in the world, because it's in virtual reality. And it kind of tells you a story, and it shows you what the world wouldn't have if we didn't have bees. So it really opens people's eyes as to what of a difference bees actually are making to us. And I think learning that there's not just these bumblebees, there's other bees, and we can do different things to kind of help those bees, and those are the bees that need protecting, the ones that we don't really know about. I think learning about that and integrated with the Pollinator Park, it makes more sense, because it gives us reasons. So if we're not going to have one of our favourite foods in the supermarket in the next 20, 30 years, we're going to want to do something about saving the bees. And it's every little person who does one little tiny thing to help towards it that makes a difference. So it takes you into that world, and it's hard to explain it because it's so immersive, but you have to kind of experience it to do it. The story behind it is really good to kind of just teach people what would actually happen if we didn't have any bees. So it's nice.
And hopefully we can take the Solitary Bee project and Pollinator Park on tour and do some more in the future with it. I'd really love to work with you again on that, Claire. So hopefully we'll work something out soon.
Watch this space, no doubt. Something will be coming soon, indeed.
All right, well, it's been lovely talking to you, Claire. Thanks for coming on, and thanks to the Community Foundation for Lancashire and Merseyside, and thanks to the Dulverton Trust for funding the Solitary Bee project.
Thanks very much. Goodbye.
This project was possible with thanks to the Community Foundation for Lancashire and Merseyside and the Dulverton Trust. If you'd like to know more about the Solitary Bee Project, please visit greentownsthelens.co.uk.